Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. It is a Friday, which means another episode of WandaVision. Okay, so this is the 7th episode of WandaVision, and this, for me personally, felt like an episode that was starting almost like the third act of the series. I feel like the last week's episode just ended off like the second act of the story with Wanda expanding Westview, and now this one kind of just is setting up what's going to happen in the conclusion, I feel like. For me personally, this definitely was not my favorite episode, but I still really enjoyed it. Last week's episode obviously kind of mimicked the early 2000s and even late 90s sitcom shows, and then this week's episode mimics the more modern traditional sitcom style type shows with like the interviews in front of the camera, stuff like The Office and Modern Family. There was a lot of Modern Family vibes about this episode, and I thought that worked at parts. For me personally, I don't feel like the humor hits as hard as it has in the last couple of weeks with regards to the sitcom stuff, but it still worked really well stylistically, I would say. The actual song they used in this week's episode definitely did sound a little bit like The Office, which I personally did appreciate because I'm a huge fan of The Office. So that was really cool. One of the big questions going into this week's episode was who was this aerospace engineer that Monica and Jimmy were going to meet. And for me, that was definitely the biggest letdown of the episode, and it's probably my own fault because I sort of had this expectation that I was going to be either a familiar character or a pretty big name Marvel character who was going to be introduced in that scene, and it was neither. It was no one. It was just like, you know, some friends of Monica who I think were friends with her mom in the past, and they were the ones who gave her that vehicle that was meant to get through the Hex, and obviously that didn't end up happening. But I was a little let down by that because I do feel like, although my expectations were probably unfairly high on who that reveal would be, I still kind of feel like the show up until that point was setting up a pretty big name character, and then it kind of just let us down with not having anything. So that was a little disappointing for me. Maybe there still is a person involved there who we might see in further coming episodes, but for me personally, that was probably the biggest letdown in this episode. So obviously in last week's episode as well, we saw that Darcy got stuck in the Hex, so we were very keen to see what her character was going to be in this episode of WandaVision, and she was a part of like the circus crew, and Vision pretty much at the beginning of the episode takes her out of that mind control state, and it was really fun seeing Darcy and Vision interact with each other. And during their scenes, there's a lot of context that Vision is being given, and what I mean by that is Darcy's giving him a lot of information on what actually happened to him after he had died, which I think is important for Vision because up until this point he's been a little confused about what's been actually going on, and he's not quite sure, you know, why he's in Westview and what's happening with Wanda and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. I did kind of feel like some of the scenes dragged on a little bit. Like I was kind of just excited constantly throughout this episode to get back to Wanda, which I haven't really felt throughout the show so far. Like I've really liked the stuff with Vision, and I was just kind of keen the whole time to get back to Wanda and what was happening with the twins and Agnes. Before we speak about Agnes, I also just want to mention that Monica Rambeau gets her powers in the show. That rhymed. That was kind of cool. When her space rover vehicle thing cannot get through the Hex, she's like, okay, I'm just going to go, because she had been through the Hex before, and then she just starts going through it. And that's where you almost have like her origin, like superhero moments. We have some voiceover from Nick Fury, I think I heard there, from the Captain Marvel film. We had some other voiceover dialogue throughout that moment as she's like walking through the Hex, and then she comes out the other side and she can almost see like the, I don't even know what she was really seeing, but like it almost looked like magnetic fields a bit, and she was like seeing like all this energy around her, and her eyes were like this really blue color. So she obviously becomes her comic book counterparts in this episode. A lot of people were speculating that was going to happen in the second Captain Marvel film because she's apparently in that. But it's really cool that she's actually gotten her powers in WandaVision. I think it's really cool. And then she sort of goes to try to confront Wanda, and that's when Agnes comes back as well, and she's like, no, let's leave the situation alone. And then she takes Wanda to her house and she starts making her tea, and that's when Wanda figures out what is actually going on. But before this, I must also just mention that the twins actually had gone to Agnes's house to give their mom a break. Because Wanda had obviously gone through a lot by expanding the Hex, and she needed a day for herself, which is fair enough. So the twins go to Agnes's house, and then once Wanda is at Agnes's house and Agnes is making her tea, Wanda's like, where are the twins? And then Agnes is like, oh, they're probably just playing in the basement or something. And then Wanda starts going down, and it almost seems like her basement is like this really medieval sort of castle looking place with all these like relics and stuff like that. And then it is revealed that Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness, which a lot of us have been speculating since the beginning, and it's so nice to finally have confirmation about who the, I guess, main antagonist of the show is. And then we sort of go into this theme song for Agnes, which has moments from her appearances throughout the show so far, right from the beginning, and right at the end as well, there's like this tag where Agnes says into the camera, she's like, yes, and I'm the one who actually killed Sparky. And I was like, damn it, Agnes, she killed Sparky. Sparky was amazing. And I was upset about that, but I also thought like it suited her character really, really well. Now, I must say, I'm very excited to actually see Catherine Hahn play Agatha Harkness going forward, because I mean, up until this point, she's kind of had to keep that side of her and her character hidden in the show, and now she can just be the full-on like bad guy. And I cannot wait. Already in that like theme song moment for her, she was just like she was having so much fun with that role, you could see, and I'm really just excited to see how she takes the character going forward. So Wanda is now in Agatha's basement thing that almost looked like it teleported her to some like medieval castle, but I don't know if it's actually underneath her basement or her house, or if it's like a portal to somewhere. I don't know, it could be anything. Monica teams up with Pietro, which is also interesting because in the theme song moment for Agatha, it's revealed that Agatha was controlling Pietro. And from my understanding, it looks like that mid-credit scene, Pietro isn't actually being controlled by Agatha. Could be wrong about that. Maybe Agatha's trying to draw Monica in as well, but I would assume that Agatha wouldn't want Monica there. So that's why I kind of think that Pietro now isn't under the spell of Agatha, which would be interesting because like we might get more information on how Pietro got in there, because it still looks like he was a person in Westview. He was just being controlled by Agatha. And then Vision ditched Darcy, like he just flew out of the van that they were traveling to their house in, and I assume he's gone to look for Wanda. So now Darcy's like on her own in the van. Vision's looking for Wanda. Wanda is with Agatha. The twins, I assume, have been captured by Agatha. And then Monica and Pietro are teaming up by the looks of things. For me, it did kind of feel like this episode was set up for the next coming episodes, which isn't a bad thing at all. But it is really exciting to know that these next two episodes are probably going to be quite intense and quite interesting. I really don't know where the story is going to go from this point. Just like previous weeks, as soon as this episode ended, I just wanted to see more, and I'm really excited to see the concluding chapters of WandaVision. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of episode 7 of WandaVision in the comments down below, and what do you think is going to happen going forward in WandaVision. I'm really excited to hear your theories and thoughts on the final 2 episodes, so let me know in the comments down below as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, stay safe and bye bye.